May is rice planting season in Aso. The Yamauchis are a father and son duo who produce rice. Many rice fields cracked and collapsed when Kumamoto was hit by a series of earthquakes 3 years ago.
この用水路自体もずれてるけん、もう水が来ない状態。
The prefecture backfilled cracks and raised sunken portions, and in addition to restoring the rice paddies to their original form, the local government is also carrying out a significant zoning of farms as part of its infrastructure development for the future. Mr. Yamauchi finally managed to resume farming last June.
やっぱね、皆さんのご支援でなんとか復旧できましたんでありがとうございます。これからなんです。やっと今スタートラインですね。
This is the starting line. Having overcome the earthquake disaster, rice is thriving in the wide expanse of Aso. A remembrance ceremony was held at Kumamoto's prefectural government for the victims of the Kumamoto earthquakes on April 14th this year, on the third anniversary of the foreshock.
私たちは発災当初からこれまで国や全国の自治体をはじめ世界中の皆様から心温まるご支援をいただきました。こうした励ましを将来の希望に変え、熊本は今着実に復興の道を歩んでおります。
April 14th and 16th, 2016. Two massive earthquakes measuring 7 on the Japan Meteorological Agency's Seismic Intensity Scale hit Kumamoto Prefecture within a mere day of each other. This caused much human suffering, including deaths, as well as the evacuation of up to 180,000 people, equivalent to approximately 10% of the prefectural population. Kumamoto Castle, the symbol of the region, also suffered substantial damage. The destruction drew much assistance and many words of encouragement from every corner of Japan and across the world. Let us take a look at how the recovery and reconstruction of Kumamoto has progressed, thanks to the support of so many people. Temporary housing began receiving tenants 2 months after the earthquakes. These homes were built to provide immediate housing for those whose houses were damaged by the quake, and up to approximately 48,000 people lived in them at peak level. Many details focused on the living environment to lessen, as much as possible, the suffering of those affected by the disaster. A portion of these temporary homes were constructed with wood. This provisional housing was later ceded to local municipals and have become permanent homes. At the same time, the prefecture has begun its own rebuilding assistance program for homes.
はい、表がもうね、たくさんそれがいっぺんに吹っ飛んだような気がしてですね。
This couple rebuilt their home after the disaster. The house that Mr. and Mrs. Imamura had lived in earlier was completely destroyed by the earthquake.
次男と娘が「母ちゃん実家がなくなるって寂しいよ。小屋でも建ててやるけん女せって言うもんだけんですね」あた涙になっちゃったその気持ちになってたところにこういう制度が1週間前にできたってよ母ちゃんってそれでもうそれにすぐ飛びつきました。
What the Imamuras utilized to rebuild their home is called reverse mortgage, a housing loan system for the elderly.
落ち着いてじっくり座って食事ができてですね、 幸せです。
Smiles are returning along with people's homes. The rebuilding of houses is directly connected to the rebuilding of lives. Disaster recovery public housing is also being constructed in various areas throughout Kumamoto to provide shelter for people who lost their homes to the earthquake. Such housing in Yamanishi District, Nishihara Village, used an ample supply of local timber.
自然が多くていいでしょう。そうですね。広々としまして。
After the earthquake, Mr. Nakamura, the head of Yamanishi Danchi Housing Complex, has been living in an apartment that had become a post-disaster public-funded rental accommodation.
安心して休めますよ。はい。安心して暮らせます。
Within the complex, each house was constructed with such things as verandas so that none of the residents would end up isolated and instead be able to connect with one another.
新しい出会いというのがありますし、まあ苦労もありますけれども、まあ親しみを作るという楽しみも湧いてくるわけですよね。
While many people have moved out of temporary housing now, 3 years since the earthquakes, some residents remain because their houses have not yet been rebuilt, among other reasons. This building in an area within the temporary housing complex is called Mina no Ie. It was built as a place for the community to gather. Residents who remain in temporal housing in the long term are at risk for physical deterioration. This is why the government and community are working together with welfare services to identify the residents' conditions.
ありがとうございます。こうしても出た時には天井がここにあったですもん。それだけもう2階が1階になっとったです。気の身のままですけど、もう何にもないとですら、またここに来ていただいたけですね。それだけがもう感謝とありがたさがね。
Still, uncertainty remains about the future.
家を建てるのがね、やっぱり変えるのがですね、いつになるだろうか、もうそれが一番不安に思っておりますね。
For those who have suffered disaster, there can be no true recovery of the heart without the reconstruction of their home. Kumamoto Prefecture continues to push forward with everything it has to rebuild each resident's home according to their wishes. The disaster waste that accumulated in the aftermath of the earthquakes totaled 3.11 million tons. This was initially estimated to take 4 years to process, but it was basically completed in 2 years. The waste treatment plant that was used for this process is now being reutilized in Okayama Prefecture, which suffered substantial damage in the heavy rains that pummeled western Japan in 2018. This initiative to make use of disaster experiences in other locations is being noted as a new effort. Mashiki Town, adjacent to Kumamoto City, was hit by 2 successive earthquakes that measured 7 on the Japanese Seismic Intensity Scale. These caused particularly severe damage compared to other areas within the prefecture. Today, Mashiki is pushing forward a rebuilding project to transform itself into a town that people want to live in, continue to reside in, and pass on to future generations. The prefectural government is also expanding the prefectural road called the Kumamoto Takamori Line, which passes through the town center, into a 4-lane road, in addition to the land rezoning project in Kiyama District. Mashiki Lab was created as a space where local residents can talk openly with students and professors of Kumamoto University regarding Mashiki's reconstruction.
僕たちはどんなに小さくても一人一人の復興っていうことを考えないといけないと思っていて、寄り添う感じで一緒にやっていけるっていうのを逆に皆さんから僕らも学ばせてもらってるというか。
拾ってきて一回全部
To discover the allures of this community by learning with residents, students participated in ume shigoto, which is the traditional work of preserving Japanese plums.
まずは世間話から入るんですけど、街づくりに関することも結構相談される方も最近は増えてきましたね。
なんか来てみると結構こうやって和気あいあいされてる姿とか、ちょっと安心っていうかほっとするところがあります。
After the plums are preserved, the students listen to the various issues the residents are facing. One such resident, Mrs. Tanigawa, lost her home completely when a fault appeared in her yard.
今はもうほとんどもう瓦礫がもうこう片付けられてて、まあ更地ばっかりですけど、でもやっぱりそのだんだんと前には進んでるなっていうのは日々実感はしてます。寄り添ってもらえるっていうのはやっぱ安心感はありますよね。
This is how young university students are supporting each resident's recovery. Many businesses sustained damage in the Kumamoto earthquakes. Many of the employees who were affected by the disaster themselves worked diligently to resume business, and this effort on their part has become the driving force behind the reconstruction. 2 months after the earthquakes, the prefecture began accepting applications for a group subsidy in which the national and prefectural governments cover up to 3/4 of reconstruction fees for firms that suffered damage. Many enterprises were able to utilize this aid and restart their businesses. This factory, which manufactures sweets for a confectionery company in Kumamoto, was damaged in the earthquakes.
工場の中あたり一面がモノクロの世界というか、もう壁と天井が落ちて、そのボードの粉とかがですね舞って、もう白黒の世界だったですね。
The company determined that it would be too difficult to restart the factory with just repairs, so it built a new facility, having received financial assistance including the group subsidy. The employees were also eager to rebuild the factory.
工場も新たになったもんですから、気持ちもこうリフレッシュして、非常に笑顔が非常に多く見れるようになったなというふうに思ってます。
This company, which produces office furniture such as portable shelves, also found its plant extensively destroyed by the earthquakes.
大変ありがたいことに、公的なですね、県をはじめいろんなところから後ろから支えていただく声がかかりまして、それを活用しながら新しい工場の計画を進めました。
This is how the new factory was completed in the second year after the earthquakes.
熊本地震は大変な思いをしたわけですけれども、これから未来に向かってまさに創造的復興というのが今私たちが目指している姿です。
Businesses are also moving forward steadily towards a recovery that goes beyond mere reconstruction to build something better and more creatively. The Kumamoto earthquakes caused considerable damage to the agricultural industry as well.
終わりだって思いましたね。もうここで終わりだって。
At a dairy farm in Nishihara village, which lies at the foot of Mount Aso, the barn collapsed in the earthquakes and some calves died beneath the rubble. Other dairy farms in the village also suffered substantial damage.
後の酪農家ももうここでやめたいって。
But Mr. Yamada ultimately decided to restart dairy farming because of his strong determination, in addition to assistance from the national and prefectural governments. He received subsidy to rebuild the barn, among other things, and he also incorporated automatic milking machines.
ゼロよりかマイナスからスタートでけん大変ですけど、やっぱ国の支援がそれだけあったけん、やっぱ自分たちはこれに向かってよしならやるぞって。
The agricultural industry is thus pressing onward towards creative restoration as well. Aso boasts one of the largest calderas in the world. The majestic mountain and rolling grassland captivate many people. The Kumamoto earthquakes disrupted the main transportation route to Aso. Road repair was carried out at a rapid pace, and the Tawarayama route, linking Kumamoto City and Minami Aso, was reconstructed in 8 months. Furthermore, Choyo Ohashi Bridge was also repaired by August of the year after the earthquakes, and this became a bridge of hope for Aso. 2 years after the disaster, all 3 hiking trails that lead up to the top of Mount Aso were also reopened to the public. Aso Ohashi Bridge along National Route 325, which had collapsed due to a large-scale landslide, is currently being rebuilt at a feverish pitch as well. Restoration work on the northern side of National Route 57 is also underway. These projects, Aso Ohashi Bridge along National Route 325 and the northern side of National Route 57, are scheduled to reopen in 2020. On the railroad, the local Minami Aso Railway reopened between Takamori and Nakamatsu stations 3 months after the quakes. The popular truck train is entertaining many tourists again. Restoration work along the rest of the tracks are underway to reopen the entire line as soon as possible. Furthermore, Japan Railway's Hohi Main Line is undergoing reconstruction work to reopen the entire line in 2020. These recovery efforts on the transportation network are energizing tourism in Aso. At the foot of Mount Aso in Minami Aso village is a thermal bath called Jikoku Onsen. Suzume no Yu is a spring there that bubbles up from underfoot. It has a history of over 200 years and is well loved by many. This onsen was also damaged in the Kumamoto earthquakes. What was more, the mountain slope collapsed in the heavy rains that followed 2 months after the disaster, and the onsen was buried under a mudslide.
整備してたお風呂も全部、潰されたりしてしましたので、ちょっともうこれは本腰入れて、ちょっと1年2年じゃちょっと復活できないなっていうのはそこの時は思いましたけど。
But Suzume no Yu finally got back on its feet 3 years after the quakes and reopened for business. This recovery was made possible thanks to the support of many volunteers.
毎日泥にまみれながら床下まで這いつくばるような感じで泥を出していただいて、で延べやっぱり2000人ぐらいは入っていただいて、うちのためにやってくれたっていうのも本当感謝しかないです。
Tokai University's Aso campus, also located in Minami Aso village, similarly suffered substantial damage and had to be closed after the earthquakes. Now that reconstruction of the roads to Aso have gotten underway, a portion of the agricultural training programs have resumed.
もう早く戻ってほしいですね、やっぱり。もうここでやりたかったんで。
やっぱここでみんなでできるっていうのはこう自然に囲まれてやるのは楽しいなと思います。
This partial recommencement of the training program is revitalizing the community. Almost 800 students lived in Kurokawa district before the earthquakes. Sugaru no Sato is a project launched by the residents who had been boarding many of these students, and they began cooking obento, or boxed lunches, for students and faculty. The flavors of the boarding houses are reprised in what has been named Fuko Bento, or Recovery Bento.
復興になんか手助けじゃないけど、なんか関われてるみたいで嬉しいです。
一人暮らししてるんで、栄養が偏ったりとかするんで、こういう弁当は結構貴重だなと思います。
家もアパートもなくしてですね、もう何もなくしてたけど、やっぱりこの皆さんのですね、集まりがなくなってなかったなと思ってですね、 学生さんのおかげで私たちも元気になれたということがですね、よかったなと思ってます。
This is how one local community has been recovering through making bentos. It is Kumamoto Prefecture's responsibility to share, in and out of Japan, its experiences of the Kumamoto earthquakes and what it learned from the disaster. It is also its duty to pass these things down to the generations that follow. The prefecture is currently verifying its responses in the aftermath of the earthquakes. As it shares this information across the country, it is also preparing a digital archive that gathers and publicizes related information. Furthermore, it is working with municipals on an open gallery-style disaster museum for visitors that preserves and connects earthquake faults. The prefecture has also hosted monitors of these tours around the earthquake remains, thus passing on the experiences of and lessons learned from the Kumamoto earthquakes to many people. Kumamoto Prefecture is aiming to achieve a creative restoration, through which it can become an even better region through its experience. One such stage is Kumamoto's gateway to the skies, Aso Kumamoto Airport. Not only is it rebuilding the portions that were damaged in the disaster, but it is also incorporating a domestic and international terminal-in-one approach through a concession method that utilizes private sector capital and know-how. At the same time, the airport is preparing to launch a railway project to provide a more convenient access to the airport. The new terminal is slated to be completed in spring of 2023, and when newly connected by rail, it will transform into a symbol of creative restoration. Kumamoto Station, Kumamoto's overland gateway, completed its new station building in March 2019. Its exterior design is based on the stone walls of Kumamoto Castle. The station building, along with its surrounding area, including the front square, will become more convenient for and enticing to visitors. Yatsushiro Port, Kumamoto's maritime gateway, is preparing to become a world-class hub for large cruise ships from around the world. A dock exclusive to cruise ships and a hospitality zone are just some of the installations being planned to allow the port to receive large passenger vessels throughout the year. In the 3 years since the Kumamoto earthquakes, the sightseeing areas of this region have gradually recovered from the damage and are regaining their allure. The treasures of Kumamoto, which include its beautiful nature and the history and culture that were forged by our ancestors, have been highly acclaimed and visited by numerous people. There are 3 World Heritage Sites in Kumamoto Prefecture. Manda Coal Mine and Misumi West Port have been registered as Modern Industrial World Heritage Sites that bear witness to the process of the modernization of Japan. And Sakitsu Church, known as the Cathedral of the Sea, is located in the village of Sakitsu, which is inscribed as a World Cultural Heritage Site as part of the hidden Christian sites in the Nagasaki region. Local junior high school students have come together to share such points of interest of Sakitsu with more people.
ふるさとのことを自慢できるので、やはり素晴らしいことだなと思いました。
These students act as guides and take visitors to the must-see spots around Sakitsu.
この教会は吉川康樹によって建てられました。フランス語で子供用のシャンソンも教えていたそうです。
中学校を卒業するまで頑張ってやりたいです。
佐吉のことをもっと多くの人に知ってもらえるように続けていきたいと思います。
These junior high school students continue to convey the charms of Sakitsu and Kumamoto to the world. Kumamoto is hosting 2 events in autumn of 2019, Rugby World Cup and the Women's Handball World Championship, and excitement is picking up steam across the prefecture. Japan women's national handball team members have visited elementary schools within the prefecture to hold trial lessons, contributing to an increase of exchange through sports. Kumamoto Castle has been undergoing repairs in time for these international sports competitions. The restoration of the castle tower's exterior is to be completed in October 2019, and a special tour passage will be opened in spring of 2020. Restoration work continues, and all reconstruction is scheduled to be completed in approximately 20 years after the disaster in 2038. Together, these recovery efforts constitute the symbol of reconstruction, as well as emotional support for the people of the prefecture. A big venture has also begun on a new treasure for Kumamoto. A recovery project in cooperation with the manga series One Piece is installing statues of the main character Luffy and his Straw Hat Pirates in locations throughout the prefecture that had suffered damage in the earthquakes. Luffy has been placed at the prefectural promenade where many tourists already visit. We can't possibly forget to mention this individual when talking about the people working hard for Kumamoto's recovery and reconstruction. Prefectural mascot Kumamon went to Nishihara village to resume his work after the earthquakes, and he has since cheered up many people who have been affected by the disaster. In addition, he has conveyed to the rest of Japan, as well as overseas, the gratitude of the people of Kumamoto for the support they have received. Kumamoto has been strengthened by everyone's aid and warm encouragement, and we will continue to stride boldly forward towards creative restoration.